Shalom, brothers and sisters. I'm back. Excuse me if I cough every now and then. I have got some water here and I'm trying to control it, but it's been just over a week now that I've been battling this flu, whatever it is, and yeah, it knocked me quite hard. Affected my lungs quite intensely. So I'm still struggling with that, especially in the evenings, but God is in control and I have a glorified body on order, so no problem for me. I'll get there. But yeah, I am back and on the go. I had a good time with my wife and daughter. I took her to go and see her happy place where there's wild horses in the bushes because it was her birthday. So we went there and she actually got to spend close hands-on time with wild horses. It was amazing. But she'll make her own little video and I'll post that here and you can hear all about how God worked. And we had an incredible time again of ministry. God opened doors into another prison system that we can get into. And that's a whole story on its own. The Bibles just went. I ran out of Bibles almost instantly. It was really quite incredible. But I'll tell you more about that in another video. The important thing today is to touch on what's happening with Israel. And before I go through a few of these main headlines, let me just say again, this is one of the biggest signs out there of the times we're living in. The fact that right now, even if you're not a believer, if you're just in the world, you ask which country is the whole world focused on? What is the whole world talking about? Where has everyone got an opinion? Israel. Right before the time of Jacob's trouble and Daniel's 70th week, where there's a huge surge and uptake in Jews moving back to Israel because it's the only place they feel safe from first world countries, which shows you the preparation for the time of trouble happening in front of our eyes and the whole world trying to move the stone, and that they will get hurt trying to do what they're trying to do, and God is watching and will judge. Interesting. So the US vetoed the UN Security Council Gaza ceasefire resolution over failure to condemn Hamas. Colleagues, US opposition to this resolution will come as no surprise, US UN Councillor Morgan Ortega said ahead of the vote. It fails to condemn Hamas or recognize Israel's right to defend itself, and it wrongly legitimizes the false narratives benefiting Hamas, which have sadly found currency in the UN Council. She emphasized that the other UNSC member states had disregarded Washington's warnings about the unacceptable anti-Israel wording and instead pursued performative action designed to draw a veto. Like Russia, China, France, and the United Kingdom, the US has a veto right as a permanent member of the UNSC. All the remaining 14 UNSC member states voted in favor of the resolution, describing the situation in Gaza as catastrophic and overwhelmingly blaming Israel alone for the war. Obviously. The other interesting thing I want to point out here is this so-called United Nitwits group of people that don't know their front from their rear. They have Russia, China, France as veto right members. But they're also trying to stand against Russia. They're also worried about China, but they accept their votes and their power in that council. That already tells you a lot about the United Nitwits and their goal to stand against Israel. Portugal recognized the Palestinian state. Hamas leader Ghazi Hamad celebrates the recognition of a Palestinian state as the fruit of October 7. He clearly says it is the fruit of October 7. Fruit from a massacre of innocent Jews, from putting children in ovens, from raping people. This recognition is the fruit of that. Today, the United Kingdom, Canada, and Australia also formally recognized a Palestinian state. Hamas sees it as a reward for October 7th, the deadliest massacre of Jews since the Holocaust. Now, we knew it was going to happen. We knew we'd see this, but it is still shocking to the system to see how quickly these countries rally against Israel. But the word of God is always true. And God says, I will gather all nations together for judgment. Not some, not all nations except America, or all nations except Puerto Rico, or no, all will come against Israel and seek to divide his land. A poll has shown that 9 in 10 Britons oppose unconditional Palestinian state recognition. So 90% of the people in Britain understand that Palestine does not qualify as a state based on the exact things I read to you in the other video last week, showing you what is needed for statehood, which they don't qualify for. 9 in 10 oppose it. The poll reveals a stark disconnection between Prime Minister Keir Starmer and the British public, with nearly 90% opposing his unconditional recognition of a Palestinian state. Now, what does that tell you? It tells you that the enemy, the New World Order, the Antichrist in the shadows, everyone that's getting ready to take over now, are going to get things done, whether the people like it or not. You might think or have thought that your vote holds power and you can make a difference. 9 in 10 Britain shows you that they will do as they're told, the leadership, regardless of what the people have to say about it. Chew on that for a second. Now, I'm not saying don't fight back, don't push back, don't vote or anything like that. I'm showing you the power being wielded by darkness to achieve its nefarious aims for the end times. Netanyahu warns Israel will respond to Palestinian statehood moves within days. Palestine would endanger our existence. In a firm statement, amidst rising tensions at the United Nations, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu announced the decisive action within days. The declaration comes as Palestinian leaders intensified diplomatic efforts during the UN General Assembly, seeking broader international support for full UN membership and enhanced status. According to reports from the Times of Israel, Netanyahu addressed the issue directly, emphasizing Israel's commitment to counter what he described as unilateral attempts to undermine peace negotiations. Now, if you think that's not true, why is the leader of Hamas celebrating these decisions as fruit of October 7? Gives them energy to keep holding out and killing more hostages and causing more chaos and moving against Palestinian civilians in the Strip. I mean, in the last 24 hours, they were rounding up civilians they said were collaborating with Israel and killing them. Assassinations. The world's not screaming about that. That's probably also Israel's fault. Then, if you want to know how dire the situation is, I read this headline to my wife and she still couldn't believe it. She was shocked. I said to her, this headline alone tells you how close we are to leaving and how the world is sleeping its way to destruction. German shop posts sign in window, no entry for Jews. Flashback 1939, Kristallnacht. It also started with small little movements that are exactly like this. A store owner in Flensburg in northern Germany put up a sign reading, "Jews are forbidden entry here." He claimed it was a protest against Israel's military operations in the Gaza Strip. Despite police arriving at the scene on Wednesday night, the sign remained in place, according to German media reports published Thursday. The sign, written in large letters, reads, "Jews forbidden here," followed by 4 exclamation points. In smaller letters, it adds, "Nothing personal, not even anti-Semitism. I just can't stand you." These are the same people that say Israel's committing genocide. They also don't know what genocide means, just like they don't know what anti-Semitism means. Israel's ambassador to Germany, Ron Prosor, posted on X in German, "The 1930s are back. In Flensburg, Jews forbidden is again hanging in a shop window, and it's the year 2025. Just like back then in the streets, cafes, and shops of the 1930s. This is exactly how it started. Step by step, sign by sign, the same old hatred in a new disguise. Jews forbidden here. If you go and look at the Shemitah cycles, and I've covered this about a year ago, the 1939 to 45 World War II stretch fell perfectly in a 7-year Shemitah cycle. Interesting. And now we're in that final Shemitah cycle, and World War II was like a dry run for what's coming. They even had their type of Antichrist who set out to wipe out every Jew he could find. This one intends to do a better job. Pray for Israel. Pray for more of them to discover their Messiah before the rapture so that they can escape what's lying right ahead. It's going to get tougher and tougher until we leave to say, yes, I'm praying for Israel. I support their right to exist as a nation as the world becomes violent against all who would stand with her. God bless. Keep looking up. Shalom.